Welcome to this week's edition of Spotlight on Jackson County. I'm Michael Paul, your host, and I'm so happy to be joined today with District 4 Supervisor Tommy Broadnax and our Sheriff, Mike Bird. How you guys doing today?
Fine. How are you?
Well, you know, guys, it seems like there's been a lot going on lately with the jail. Tell me, first of all, Mr. Sheriff, since you're in charge of the jail, let's go back and let's look at the history of the jail and what you've done to try to improve the jail, and you know, you took over in 2000, I think, so you've been around for 8 years now. Give us a history of what you've done to try to improve the jail and what you think about it.
Well, the Jackson County Jail is under a federal mandate since the 90s.
Wow.
To fix the jail, to enlarge the jail, to build a new jail. And in 2000, when I was elected to office, I went before the board and told them, you know, fellas, we got to do something about the jail. The previous sheriff had tried to get something done, was unsuccessful. At this point, you know, I think the board realized, you know, that there's a problem. It's very dangerous out at that jail, not only for the inmates, it's dangerous for the officers there. We had 440 inmates in the jail this morning for a 180-man facility. So that tells you right there that we're in a situation that is very dangerous for everyone involved. So I went before the board, like I said, in 2000, and went on record saying we've got to do something about the jail. Since then, we've added a 116-man expansion out the back of the jail, which is we're right in the process of opening that now. That's going to relieve us to some degree with minimum offenders, you know, less offenders. It's not a maximum security thing like we have in the jail, but we have a lot of inmates that are just waiting right now to go to Parchman. And Parchman doesn't have a place to put them. So you can see the situation. This is statewide, Michael, that everybody's overcrowded. It's not just Jackson County, it's everybody. Recently
there was a bond issue petition that floated around that they were apparently able to acquire enough signatures to stop the funding process for a new jail. Mr. Broadnax, was it, were these people misguided?
I think they were. As far as the board is concerned, it's probably the most pressing problem we have in the county today. We would rather pay off a bond for a building rather than pay off a bond to settle a lawsuit like happened in Harrison County. And
is there a danger of that happening in Jackson County? And I'll pose that question to both of you.
Absolutely. I've just recently, we've just recently finished litigation on a overcrowding issue, and I don't know how that has turned out, but it's...
I forgot to tell you to put that on silent before we came.
I'm sorry, it is now. But it's something that happens everywhere. You're going to have... You're going to have stuff like that happen all over. So it's a situation that we're faced with every day, and we just do the best we can with it. I mean, stop and think. You put yourself in our situation, you got to have a place to put criminals. That jail has been there since the late 30s. Not that jail specifically, but the convict camp. A lot of things that they've talked about in their complaints was they see inmates on Sundays that are out and they're out in the yard exercising. Well, those are not my inmates. Those are state inmates. And when the CWC, which is the Community Work Center, was built, there was not a protest about that.
And that's what that is. That's the
state. That is not the adult detention center's inmate. Our inmates are concealed. You don't see them. Also, the restitution center, when it was placed there was not any type of objection to that. So, to me, the jail has always been there. There has never been an issue with anybody that has escaped and went and tried to break into someone's house or go over to the school when it was there and take a child or anything like that. When somebody if they do, I think the last escape was in 1991. When they get out of jail, the last place they want to be is around that area. They're going to leave. They're going to try to get away. So we try every way we can to be as cautious as we can and to be as safe as, because I am community-minded and I understand how people feel. But, you know, that is the best place to put the jail.
Supervisor Broadnax, you got a comment on that?
Well, I was one of the main ones that took the lead on getting a community work center located here back when they initially come up with the idea of locating them throughout the state. Me and former, or the late J.C. May, who was District 3 supervisor at that time, we got that facility located here. None of the municipalities or any other governmental body wanted to use any of them for work purposes. But whenever we got them out working in the communities and getting all that free labor, everybody started wanting them, including the State Highway Department.
You brought some information to me just a few minutes ago, right before the show. If you want to, you can go ahead and break that news that about this case. It looks like it's going to come to a head on June the 9th.
Yeah, June the 9th in Jones County before Judge Billy Joe Landrum. The case will be heard at that time.
Why, is there any particular reason why that they moved it to Jones County?
Because all of our local judges recused themselves.
Okay.
And
there's a reason for that too.
I've heard of Judge Billy Joe Landrum before, and as far as I know, he's a fair-minded guy. So I guess you know, that can't be bad. What is it that the supervisors, as far as you're concerned, what do you want out of this?
Well, we have put off any action on the bond program until such time that the judge makes his ruling. And after the ruling, if it's decided that we can locate the jail there, then we intend to call for an election on the bond in the upcoming November election to save the county taxpayers money.
All right, now look, there was a talk, I guess you could say, many years ago. I've heard it myself over the years about moving the jail to Highway 57 and 10 or some similar location. Now, how do each of one? I'd like to know how each one of you feel about that.
State statute requires it to be located in the county seat.
And that was tried by his predecessor tried that to get us moved to Highway 57. Tried to get the whole sheriff's office moved there for some reason, but that is not very good at all, because the further you have to transport them, the more
transportation costs.
That it's dangerous. You want to have them as close as you can to where you have to transport them to court. And we transport 20, 30, 40, 50 inmates a day to court for hearings. So
the idea of a centrally located jail facility in the county, as far as you're concerned, Mr. Broadnax, is that just not a question?
Well, economically, it's not the best in the best interest of the people, because for the taxpayer, with fuel costs like they are today, and you know, closeness to the courthouse, and we have an excellent law enforcement staff here in our sheriff's department and our local governing bodies here, the cities, and they do an outstanding job of providing law and order, and the more law enforcement we have around a jail site, the better off we are. And we feel like that, or I personally feel like that the jail should be built on that existing site.
So the jail, as far as you're concerned, I mean, is this the sentiment? I guess this is a sentiment of the entire board that the jail should be built exactly where it is today.
Well, there's some talk about meeting with the opposition to try to find another spot, but I'm sure the city of Pascagoula is not going to want to foot the bill to buy some property to relocate the jail.
Well, now
I wouldn't spend one penny to buy property to relocate it myself.
Well, the question becomes, I guess, you know, is this all about the city of Pascagoula, or are there other? I mean, is it just what the city of Pascagoula wants, or is it for the county as a whole?
Well, if the city of Pascagoula is going to continue to be the county seat, they need to accept the responsibilities that goes along with it.
So that would be including the county jail.
Including the county jail, as required by law.
Is there any other location that you have personally viewed or that you know of that belongs to the county or the city that would be a suitable location for a jail?
Well, we've had a lot of suggestions, but most of them are in the floodplain. Like some people suggested putting it on the mud lump out at Singing River Island, but you can't evacuate prisoners during a storm.
Yeah, every time you had a storm, I guess you would have to take them to a
right.
safe location.
And we done that during Hurricane Ivan when it came. We evacuated prisoners.
Where do you take them when you evacuate?
Well, they went all over the state. So
this is a big problem.
And it cost a lot of money to relocate them. And it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. And the thing that we did not evacuate the prisoners during Katrina. We had about 3 inches of water that came into the jail, but it went right out, and we were very fortunate. So
yeah.
That to me is the best place to put it. I mean, that was the reason why the county purchased the land from the Pascagoula School District, was for the purpose of putting a new jail there.
Now, there's been some talk that, and I'll pose this question to both of you, that this facility itself, or the property itself, is not big enough to do what you want to do on there. Now, can either one of you answer whether that is true or false?
That's false. I've seen the plans, and it is big enough.
What do you think, Sue?
Yeah, it's quite big enough. We have adequate space there to build a new jail.
Will this jail be multi-story?
No, single story.
Single story. So there is a sufficient room to, and I forget how many beds was it, like 400?
547.
547 beds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that how does that relate to the future of Jackson County?
Well,
the bed number, I should
the
say.
bed number will hold us for a little while, but this jail is designed that we could add on to it if we needed to in the future.
There's also been talk about that the facility isn't really designed, for the future. That it's just designed to meet current needs.
Well,
have you guys addressed that?
Well, the existing facility that's there is in dire need of remodeling, and a lot of maintenance work needs to be performed on it. Of course, whenever you're overcrowded like we are, it's hard to perform maintenance work on the facility. But once the new jail got built, there's no reason that jail couldn't be upgraded for future use.
So that jail could be upgraded and you could use it for maybe a lower level type inmates?
Yeah, or you could use it for you could, I'm not saying it would. You could use it for, we always have problems when we transport mental patients. Mental patients need to go to a hospital. They don't need to go to a jail. And sometimes there's not a place to put them, especially if they're violent, except in a holding cell at the jail. And it could be used for that. It could be used for a youth detention facility, which they're overcrowded now. Judge Segalis is, they having issues with a lot of youth offenders as being overcrowded. It could be used for that. It could be used for a number of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be used for a jail, but it could be utilized once it's repaired.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a break, and we're going to be back after this, and we're going to talk about a couple of things. First, what are the dangers of the current facility, the jail facility? I want to talk a little bit more about the federal courts, and also an issue that's come up lately that I want to get both of you guys' opinion on, and that's radar. Radar being run in Jackson County. We'll be back right after this.
My father started the business in 1960. We've lived on the coast our whole life. We love the local and personal service we receive from Merchants and Marine Bank. That's why we do all of our banking with M&M Bank, personal and business.
Come see what sets Merchants and Marine Bank apart.
We're hometown people, we're hometown people that you know.
South Mississippi. Now it's your chance to win part of $10,000 in the Deep South Fishing Rodeo and River Jamboree. Offshore, nearshore, bank-only tournament, and even a freshwater tournament. And several jackpots, all in this one huge event. Visit the tons of vendor and information booths. And kids, there's even a zone for you. Live bands, DJs, and a karaoke contest. Visit our website for more information. We still have a few vendor and sponsor spaces available as well. Deep South Fishing Rodeo. Make sure you're there.
After After all my research and completion of my business plan, I presented it to several local banks, and M&M Bank was the only bank that believed in me and allowed for my dream to come true. Thank you, Merchants and Marine Bank.
Come see what sets Merchants and Marine Bank apart.
Hometown people, hometown people, we're hometown people that you know.
Hi, my name is Tavia. I work in marketing here locally at WKFK Channel 7. If you'd like to see how your business can benefit from local TV advertising, give us a call. WKFK Channel 7 is available to all the homes in Jackson County via cable or antenna. We produce local original programming and news on the hour. Your business can be a part of these and other outstanding programs. Advertise locally with Channel 7. Call us today for a free consultation. WKFK Local Channel 7. We can help you put your business on the map.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Jackson County. Michael Paul here, your host, and of course I'm happy to have in the studios with me our Sheriff Mike Byrd and District 4 Supervisor Tommy Broadnax. Thank you for coming back with us, guys. You know, before the break we were talking about a lot of issues with the jail, but one of the things I specifically want to talk about is the federal court mandate. Now that's been going on for a long, long time.
Since you were supervisor.
Since I was on the Board of Supervisors. Mm-hmm. Can you shed any light on that, Tommy?
Well, I don't know what the status of it is at this point. However, if we don't do something pretty quick, I feel like that we're going to be under an order to build a jail.
Well, how would that affect the plans and everything that's going on right now? I mean, would that speed it up? Would that slow it down? Would it change it? What would it do?
It'd probably speed it up because, you know, if a federal court mandates us to build a jail, we have no choice, and we'd have to.
So, you know, I guess you could. I guess that the point here is, and I asked you the question earlier: were these folks misguided that were trying to stop the issuance of the bonds? And the reason why I asked that question is because this issue has been near the boiling point for so many years that it appears that if we don't do something, that the feds are going to do it for us, or they're going to force us to do it. I mean, do you see that happening, Mike?
Absolutely, that's coming. If we don't do something, I mean, it's something that we need to really stop and consider. I know a jail's not popular. Everybody knows it's not popular, but we got to have a place to put criminals.
Well, you know, because of the issues that are going on with the current jail, one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, you know, what are the dangers for our local law enforcement officers who work in the jail? Tell me about their lifestyle.
Their lifestyle is very stressful. Of course, nobody twisted their arm and made them go work this job. They do it because they're dedicated to public service. And my hat's off to them. I've worked in that jail. I know what the conditions are, and I know how it is. But it's very stressful. It's very dangerous. At any time, anyone could get hurt. We had an inmate that died in the jail. Thank goodness we had cameras that he died from an illness that he had. But, you know, we've had inmates jump on other inmates. We've had fights in the jail, and it's very dangerous for everyone involved.
This facility is not new. Obviously, this facility was built when we were all dark-headed.
It was it was opened in 1978, and it was built for 79 inmates, and it opened with 86 inmates.
So the day that the jail opened, it was actually overcrowded.
Absolutely.
And you've continually had this problem for years and years and years now.
Yes, sir.
The point I was making about the officers, I mean, do you have officers that are in danger because of the style of the facility or because of the oldness of the facility, or is there anything about that facility that makes their job more dangerous?
Everything you've mentioned. The type of inmates we've had. We've had inmates that will want to challenge officers. We got an officer out right now with a broken arm. We got one out with a broken hand, having to fight with inmates that'll challenge officers. You know, the officers are back there trying to do their jobs, and some of these inmates, you know, they just don't want to cooperate, and they don't want to do what they're supposed to do.
Supervisor Broadnax, on June the 9th at 10 a.m. in Judge Billy Joe Landrum's court, they're going to talk about this jail issue and whether or not that the jail is supposed to be put in that location, or I mean, what is it? What exactly is this lawsuit about?
The lady that filed a petition, her lawyer will represent her at this hearing and decide whether they can override the city's allowing us to build it there. And that's what the whole issue is
So the whole issue is whether or not the jail can be built at that facility or that location on Telephone and I guess basically Market Street, Telephone and Market.
You see, one real problem we got that hadn't been addressed out there is our feeding situation with the kitchen out there. And I don't know how the sheriff does it, but I understand he feeds in shifts. And we have a very small kitchen facility out there that's very, very cramped. And I really don't understand how he does it, but it's a problem.
Maybe you
just have to go out there and see it for yourself.
You have folks that work. That's what they do out there.
Right. We are contracted with Airmark Corporation. They're the ones that are responsible for making sure that the meals are prepared, that the inmates are fed 3 meals a day. And we have to feed them, as he said, in shifts because there are so many. Now, we have trustees that are in the kitchen that help prepare the meals with the employees from Airmark. And then they go out and they distribute these meals to the inmates.
One of the things that has been an issue in the newspaper lately and on TV is radar. Hey, I've often wondered, because being an ex-police officer and knowing you most of my life, and you and I pretty much think alike about this issue, what do you think, and can you tell the audience, hey, what is the big issue about running radar? I don't understand it.
Well, it's something that goes back to the old days, 40 years ago. They got to talking about speed traps. Well, I've never seen a speed trap. I want to see one. Those are totally unfounded. They're talking about generating revenue. We can't say where the money goes. The legislature dictates where the fine money goes. Part of it goes to the county, part of it goes to the state. Just like if a city policeman writes a ticket, part of it goes to the city and part of it goes to the state. Those are things that are mandated by law. Every police officer, every deputy sheriff, every highway patrolman that goes through the academy has to be certified on radar before they can graduate. It is the most, I would say, it's ridiculous to keep us from being able to use radar. Radar is a scientific tool that is used to stop speeders, to slow them down. They give us DNA, as I said in the paper, to help us solve murder cases. They give us fingerprints to help us solve burglaries. They give us an intoxilizer to help us solve drunk drivers. Scientific tools that we have to be certified on to be able to use to testify in court. Same thing with radar. And if the rural counties don't want to use it, fine, they don't have to. This is something to protect the citizens of Jackson County, and we need it. It's been proven over and over again. Statistically, we've proven that our speed-related accidents are way higher than anyone else.
Supervisor Broadnax, I think the board has actually passed a resolution to ask again this year. How many times has this happened? Ask for a resolution from the state legislature for a local and private bill to allow radar to be run in Jackson County. What's the status on that?
Well, we fully support the sheriff's efforts on this, and the status of it right now is the bill of the local and private requests have to be filed at the legislature before April the 4th. That's the deadline, and our resolution to get the local and private passed or authorized was supposed to be sent up there and be in their hands as we speak, and hopefully they're going to see fit to allow us to do that.
Way back, whenever I was on the Board of Supervisors, back in the 90s, we passed resolution after resolution asking for the local and private for radar. The sheriffs from that era, the sheriff before that era, and now the sheriff in this era, you, Mike Bird, have all asked for radar. Is it falling on deaf ears?
I think it is, because Lowndes County, 1976, did the same thing, petitioned the legislature for a local and private. They proved that they had speed-related accidents, fatalities, because of Mississippi State and Mississippi College for Women in that area, Oktibbeha County, Lowndes County, and they proved that their speed-related accidents were very high. The sheriff up there today will tell you that radar has greatly reduced their speed-related fatalities in that county. They've had 16 since 2003. We've had 42.
It's incredible, you know, and you and I were discussing this before the show, and you and I both have a heavy foot, no question about it. And when you're on some of these county roads and you have people passing you, and you know, you're 45 or 50 mile an hour speed limits, and they're running 70 and 80 miles an hour, I mean, it's just so dangerous. And the roads aren't designed to go that fast.
Our next door neighbors, Mobile County, they've been running radar, the sheriff's office. I mean, I'm talking 15 miles away, right here at the state line. They've been running radar since 1970. And it's, when you go into Mobile County, you're not going to speed, are you? Because you know that those sheriff's deputies have radar. It's a deterrent. That's what we got to have.
You know what a lot of people don't realize is how many other crimes are solved because of people that were stopped for a simple traffic violation, speeding. Tell me about how that works.
Well, when I worked for the city of Gautier, I was running radar on Gautier Van Cleve Road. I got a man that was speeding and stopped him, and he was wanted in North Carolina for murder. So
he could have been free if it wouldn't have been for the fact that he were violating the law, speeding, and you had a tool to catch him, and then found out that the guy was a wanted murderer.
Wanted murderer. Yes, sir.
And I guess, you know, over the years, you and I both could probably sit down and we could probably make a list of 100 different major events and major criminals that were captured throughout the cities of Jackson County that run radar because of the fact that they had radar.
Absolutely.
What would you tell your local representative right now, Supervisor Broadnax, what would you tell the state representatives from this area, both of you, I want to get both your comments, what would you tell them right now when this local and private is just about to be presented to them?
I'd tell them to go talk to our Lieutenant Governor, Phil Bryant,
who supports it avidly because he's a former law enforcement officer. He knows the challenges that we face. And number two, we're professionals. We are not going to do something that's going to jeopardize us getting in trouble.
Well, the other thing, too, is a lot of people don't know you're elected. I mean, you're not going to go out here and do silly things with radar guns that would stop you from...
It is asinine.
Yes,
absolutely.
I agree.
We have got to do something to slow people down to try to save lives. That's it in a nutshell. And our representatives need to realize that we're doing it to I mean, come on, fellas, stop and think. Look at the traffic flow just in Jackson County. People coming from Alabama, coming from Louisiana, George County, Greene County, going to the shipyard. Look at the traffic flow we have.
I know it. Look, guys, it's been fun. I sure enjoyed talking to both of you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We talked about a lot of big issues today, and I really appreciate you guys coming. We'll be back next week. Spotlight on Jackson County. I'm Michael Paul, your host. See you then.